You want Black Friday prices without the Black Friday crowds. Lowe's gets it. We check the calendar, and Christmas is coming early. $99 is all you need to grab your favorite select 7-foot pre-lit artificial Christmas tree for the holiday season. And don't sweat what gifts to get Dad, because we've got up to 40% off select tools and accessories. That's how Lowe's celebrates Black Friday early. Selection varies by location, while supplies last.
Looking for these better days.
It is Monday, November 3rd. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. An exciting action in NFL Week 9 Sunday. Another successful day for the Trench Report. We'll get to that coming up here in just a few minutes. We had some upsets, and we had a heartbreaking injury as well. Mackenzie Rivers is with me here on this episode of Better Day, presented by FanDuel. And Mac will start with Sunday Night Football because it is the freshest game in our minds. Do
we have to? Can we start with Christian McCaffrey and the Trench Report or something? Something more
we'll get
upbeat.
To that. We will get to that. But the Seahawks dominate the Commanders 38-14. In the first half of this game, Sam Darnold was 16 of 16 for like over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
It was just a perfect performance. He finishes the game 21 of 24, 330 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. And the story in this game, yes, we can talk about the Seahawks and their potential, what they can do now in the NFC playoff picture. But the story that a lot of people were talking about on social media last night and will be addressed today on all of your talk shows is the Jaden Daniels injury. 38-7 was the score, about 7 minutes or so left in the game. Read option play inside the red zone from, about the 5-yard line or so. Jaden Daniels gets thrown down to the ground trying to score a rushing touchdown. Puts his left arm down to brace himself, and arms are just not meant to bend that way. So Daniels' season is likely over, and Dan Quinn facing a lot of questions about why Jaden Daniels was in the game late in a 31-point blowout, especially in his first game back from injury. He just came back from the hamstring and the leg and everything that he's been dealing with.
Derrick Rose, April 2012, up 15. First game back, he has a triple-double. He was in just 20 seconds too long. Right at the end of that game, tears his ACL, is never the same. There are so many shades of so many, and we were talking in pre-production, like Commanders history. Like, think about Robert Griffin III. He has that one amazing year, and then in that first playoff game, I guess Jaden Daniels made it at least after his first year. But you just worry that it was kind of a flash in the pan with how amazing Jaden Daniels, immediately top 5 quarterback. I don't think there's another rookie quarterback performance as far as a full year that we can have the same conversation as Jaden Daniels. He was that excellent. He's been okay this year, and now he's gone for this year. And the Commanders are 3-6. I wonder if the Dan Quinn era might be coming to an end, if they might want to reboot that and build around the quarterback. Let's talk the Seahawks. But I don't know. Here's another way to be pessimistic. Sam Darnold, he had a good first half. Second half, 5 for 9, 0 picks, 40 yards. 0 touchdowns, a pick. No, it was domination. 98 QBR from Sam Darnold, who is now 14-1 to win MVP.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Let's get away from the negative here, because I can read you the Dan Quinn quotes, or basically he didn't even think about it. Forget about it. We're done with that. Let's move on to talking about the positives here, and that is the Seahawks now at 6-2. Mackenzie, on the season. And you mentioned Sam Darnold in the MVP race. Well, if we look up on FanDuel right now, the odds to win the NFC, it is the Philadelphia Eagles as the favorite at plus 380, the Detroit Lions as the second favorite at plus 470. By the way, they lost yesterday. The Los Angeles Rams at plus 490. Now, they won. They look impressive. Then the Green Bay Packers at plus 500. They lost yesterday. And then the Seattle Seahawks at plus 600. Why no love for the 6-2 Seattle Seahawks?
Well, the market is catching up, because it wasn't that long ago when the Niners were favored to win the NFC West. It was like minus 150, plus 150 for Niners and 49ers for the first 4 weeks of the season. And the Seahawks were always like a distant 4-5-1. Now it's essentially a coin flip. Rams plus 125, Seahawks plus 150 to win the NFC West. And Yeah, I know it's 6-1 and they're sixth favorite, but they're right in that same 15% chance to win it as the Rams, Eagles, and Lions. I think the market is completely throwing up their hands as far as this conference. It seems to be as wide open as ever.
Well, it's also important to note, and you just talked about it with the other two teams in their division, in the Rams, who are 6-2, and the 49ers, who are 6-3. Like, the winner of this division is going to have a home game and maybe be in the running for the number one seed. Like, we don't know, but the winner of this division is going to have a home game. The two other teams in this division that will make the playoffs, because I do think all three of these teams make the postseason.
I think so.
They're going on the road. And so
it's going to be a big swing.
Yeah, it changes things, right? Like, it's going to change how we look at them in terms of the playoff picture. Will they be dogs? Like let's say if the Seahawks have to go to Tampa to play in the wild card round, are they dogs in Tampa? I think they'd be dogs if they have to go to Green Bay or Detroit.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think they'd be dogs if they have to go to Philadelphia. So it's while we love what we've seen so far, we can argue why the numbers aren't as short.
And doesn't
as
it kind of
teams.
feel like it might be a repeat of last year where the Seahawks win 14 games? I mean, for Sam Darnold, and then he faces his first game on the road at LA or at Philadelphia, and he's just Sam Darnold. He's just too Sam Darnold to get past it. Like the Seahawks, they were off this week, but they had the best week of their season with everybody else losing. And then you kind of look back at it like they have the best record in the NFC. They won it last year. Why not the Eagles or a team like that? I don't really think Sam Darnold's going to be holding the Lombardi trophy at the end of this year. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they did it. You brought up, could this be another repeat of what the Vikings did last year with Sam Darnold? And if you recall, remember that the Vikings had that final game of the regular season against the Detroit Lions. The winner wins the division. The loser has to play on wild card, has to play the wild card game on the road. And what happened? Well, Sam Darnold was terrible. The Vikings lost that final game of the regular season. And then we all know the embarrassing performance that happened in the postseason going to the Los Angeles Rams. So I guess that's always in the back of people's minds when it comes to Sam Darnold. Now, does Mike Macdonald and the Seahawks change your opinion with that win yesterday, Mackenzie? Do you realize Mike Macdonald is now 11-1 on the road as a head coach in the NFL?
I did realize that, and their two losses this year, of course, at home. Mm-hmm. I don't know how he completely reversed what we understand about the Seahawks. The 12th man doesn't matter, and they're road warriors, despite having by far the toughest travel schedule. I guess Jets are nicer these days of any team in the league, being all the way up there in the corner.
It's crazy. 11-1 on the road for Mike Macdonald as the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Let's talk about the other results from yesterday, and we'll talk about the marquee matchup here between the Chiefs and the Bills. And sometimes, Mackenzie, it doesn't matter what the spread tells you. It's as simple as, is this a regular season matchup between Mahomes and Josh Allen, or is this a postseason matchup? Because we made the jokes, obviously, previewing this game, and it held true once again. It's a regular season game. Josh Allen got the best of Patrick Mahomes. The Bills win 28-21. Final score makes it look closer than it actually was. Like the Bills missed a field goal there with 30 seconds left. If they make that field goal, it's a 31-21 finish, and it looks a little bit better. And also the Chiefs did score in the fourth quarter and get a 2-point conversion after, by the way, converting like a 4th and 15 or so on the drive to extend that drive. So this had the potential to actually be a much different score here. So Bills get the win. Now Josh Allen 5-1 straight up in ATS against Mahomes in the regular season, but still 0-4 in the postseason. But that doesn't matter right now. What matters right now is Buffalo is 6-2.
Well, if you have a Josh Allen MVP ticket, matters to you because it completely flipped the market. He's now the favorite at plus 150 or so. Mahomes plus 350, and he outdueled him. He outdueled the best quarterback of his generation, yada, yada, yada. AFC defending champion 15 times in a row. So he continues to hold the stature of being at least the second best quarterback in the league, but we thought that coming in. We think that now. I agree with you. This is pretty much par for the course. I would say if anything, the Chiefs offense kind of comes back to earth. So maybe a good performance for the Bills defense. We haven't really seen that lately, but we know Sean McDermott's teams are going to be competitive on that side of the ball.
The Kansas City Chiefs, Mac, are now 5-4. Are we concerned about this team's chances to make the playoffs?
That's fascinating because I think a consensus last week was everyone coming around to, yep, they're the best team in football. Look at their last 3 games, dominant performance, they're back. But the reality of their start to the season is that now they are, let's look at the division odds because they were favored. I got to think they're dogs now. And AFC West, yeah, they are plus 165 dogs. If they're in the tournament, everyone's going to be scared to play them. But if the Chargers win out, essentially, if the Broncos win the division, no, they're going to make the playoffs. What are we talking about? They're going to be a wild card team, which, by the way, Mahomes has never played a road playoff game in his career, so that'll be fun.
Right now, up on FanDuel, you can get the Kansas City Chiefs at plus 440 to miss the postseason. So,
what's the path though? Like who
well,
are?
I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it to you. They're
I got to give me the 7 teams that are going to edge them out.
They're 5-4 right now. This is their schedule. At the Broncos, they could lose that game. Yep. Home to the Colts. Now, I'm not a believer in the Colts, but whatever.
How could you be after yesterday?
Yes. At the Cowboys, where Dallas scores 40 points at home in every game.
That will be my survivor pick. The Chiefs win on Thanksgiving.
Okay. Home to the Texans, tough defensive team in the Texans. You play the Chargers, home, difficult game. Then you go to the Titans, that's a win. You play the Broncos, tough divisional game. And then you get the win at the Raiders, the final game of the regular season. I'm saying there's a potential for 1, 2, 3, 4 more losses on their schedule. It would not surprise me if the Chiefs finish at 9-8. But 9-8 does probably still get you into the AFC playoffs, I guess.
I mean, I'm looking at the standings now, and the Chiefs are 8th. The playoffs started today. They would be out of the playoffs. I mean, I think they're 4 points better than the Jaguars, who are ahead of them. I think they're way better than the Chargers. I definitely think they're better than the Steelers. On a neutral site, I make them favored, but that doesn't mean they're going to get to the window. Yeah, the Jaguars, all they got to do is come up with 9 wins, and they will have the tiebreaker because of that Monday Night Football ridiculous win that might end up mattering.
Last year, by the way, 10-7 were the final wild card spots. The Steelers.
Okay, so 9-8 would not have made it.
Yeah, the Steelers and Broncos were both 10-7 last year, and those were the final spots. And in the NFC, it wasn't even close. Like 11-6 was the final playoff spot in the NFC. So,
and the Ravens are going to be gunning for those wild card spots if they get hot.
Yes,
it's going to be very interesting.
I'm just saying, if they can't lose 4 more games the rest of the year. Like they can't finish.
What are the Jaguars to miss the playoffs? I hope I get a plus money.
The Jags to miss the playoffs?
Yeah, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, which one of these teams I don't believe in at all? I believe in the Texans more than the Jags. I mean, I just don't think they're good. They got the lucky win over the Raiders.
Plus 134
on the no. I do get plus money on the no. Okay, I would sprinkle on that. I like that.
Okay. All right.
I'm not sure if the Ravens pass them or if the Chiefs pass them or both, or somebody they're going to be out of it in my opinion.
Okay. Let's look at some other results yesterday. The Rams blow out the Saints 34-10, but we cashed a sexy ticket in this game. Talked about this up on VSiN. We actually wrote about this in the fantasy football article. Shout out Christelle, who
the mad journalist.
Yep, the mad journalist joined us to do some fantasy stuff. That conversation was made available. We emailed that out, part of our fantasy football conversation this weekend. Getting ready for this game, Juwan Johnson, we cashed the anytime touchdown at plus 500. We also played his over receptions at 3.5. Did not cash that. He only had 3 catches. We did play his over yardage, which if you waited for the closing number, you got 30.5, and he went over with 31. But really, the plus 500 cash on the Juwan Johnson anytime touchdown was the moneymaker. Why did we play that? Well, because, and if you listen to this podcast or you read the newsletter or you're listening to me on VSiN on Saturday when I gave it out as a best bet, or the video that I posted on social media at Scott's On Air, Juwan Johnson and Tyler Shuck were teammates back at Oregon. Their relationship has been quoted as being a big brother, little brother type relationship. And I felt that while the sports books can look at the algorithms and say, well, this guy scores in this many games, so that's what the odds are going to be, I felt that down in the red zone, pressure situations, Tyler Shuck was going to go to the guy that he knows the most, and that was his old buddy, his big bro in Juwan Johnson, catches the touchdown for us. So plus 500 cash there. But this is not about the Saints or Tyler Shuck or bragging about wins, McKenzie. This is about the Rams improving to 6-2. Is Matthew Stafford an MVP candidate? Up on FanDuel, Yeah, up on
Osborne.
FanDuel right now. He is the fourth. He's the fourth favorite at plus 500.
I think he's a better bet than Drake May. Maybe Drake May's better. I mean, has been better. Maybe Stafford's been better. But I have 15 years of sample size where Stafford has been like shockingly good compared to like where he is in people's mind's eye. Really, the only two losses they have this season like weren't on him at all. They lost that 19-point lead at Philadelphia, which is a very explainable loss. We're talking about them as the only real contender other than the Rams in the NFC, like elite tier. And then they lost to the 49ers where Stafford threw for 380 yards and like 15 amazing plays. And it might have been his best game of the year. And obviously every other game they've won handily. So yeah, I think he's been better than Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes this year. I mean, I would take them in a Super Bowl game for one game, but this year, stats-wise, Stafford's been the best quarterback of those three.
All right, so maybe a little value here on the plus 500 on Matthew Stafford right now. Jaguars beat the Raiders in overtime 30-29, and this was a live betting masterclass, Mac. I was on Live Bet Sunday yesterday on VSiN, and as soon as the Jaguars...
Fourth quarter, over 7.5.
Well, there you go. 17-14 in the fourth quarter. How about that? I mean, feel sorry for you if you had the under. But once the Jaguars got down into the goal-to-go situation in overtime, they score the touchdown on the 4th and 1 quarterback sneak.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders were plus 6.5 on the live betting line. And I bet it. And I recommended everybody bet it. Now, why was that a good bet? They're down 7. They need a touchdown. And if they don't score, the game is over, right? New overtime rules. Both teams have a chance to possess the football.
Plus 6.5 about minus 110?
Plus 6.5, plus 6.5. Yep. Actually, it was reduced vig, minus 105, plus 6.5. Now, this is why this is an incredible bet. And this is why in every overtime game, if the team that has the football first scores a touchdown and you are given a plus 6.5, you bet it every single time. Because when the other team that gets the ball second scores a touchdown, they have to go for a 2-point conversion.
I get that.
Now, that's not the rule. This isn't college football where in the second overtime you have to go for 2. But with the new kickoff rules in the NFL, with the K-balls, and oh, by the way, in this game in particular where Cam Little kicked a NFL record 68-yard field goal, you cannot tie the game with an extra point and kick the football off for it to become sudden death and you lose the game with a field goal. So when you score that touchdown, you go for 2 in the win, and you either get it, you win the game, or you don't get it, like the Raiders didn't get it, you lose the game by 1, and therefore you cash your plus 6.5 regardless. Now, it's the same premise. If you give me plus 3.5, I would take plus 3.5. If you give me plus 2.5, frankly, I would take plus 2.5. If you gave me plus 1.5, I would take it. Now, maybe I shouldn't say that because there is the chance that, hey, maybe they do kick the extra point.
Yeah, if they score, I mean, if you scored immediately, you have to go for 2 because they're going to have too much time. The way they actually had an option, but they're a 2-6 team. They were just going to end the game right there. But if you score with 2 seconds left, then you could accept the tie and kick it off.
If you score with any time left, if there's 20 seconds left, you still have to go for 2. In the NFL, we're seeing you're 1 play away from field goal range. And in a game where the kicker kicked a 68-yard field goal, they literally could have taken the kick return.
I would say 14 seconds. If I needed a tie, I'd feel comfortable. 20 seconds, you're right. It's at least a 10% chance they get a field goal try.
Why don't you ask Sean McDermott about how 13 seconds?
I agree.
And that's not even the new that wasn't even with the new kickoff rules.
Right. They had the ball at the 20.
Think about that. Now we're talking about the 35-yard line. Like, my goodness. Like, it's just
you can't even do a squib kick. Yeah.
No.
It's tricky with 15 seconds left. You have to go for 2.
You got to go for 2 every time. So if you're in that situation in overtime, highly recommend if you can get the plus 6.5 after the first team scores a touchdown, you go ahead and do it. Now, obviously, the other team could just not score and you could lose that bet. And that's a risk that you're going to have to take. Raiders are now in a very interesting situation because they are coming off this overtime game, and now they will go on the road on Thursday night to play against the Denver Broncos. So I already looked this up, Mackenzie. I did the work.
Yes.
I did the work. I did the work for you. Okay. I already looked this up. Teams coming off overtime and then having to play on the road on Thursday.
It's bad.
5-15 straight up, 4-16 against the spread. These teams are averaging 15.6 points per game. Their opponents are averaging 25.9 points per game. I do think that it is interesting that those averages are a 10-point discrepancy, because the early line in this game up on FanDuel is the Broncos minus 9.5. So it's funny, right? Like evens out, it works out to the averages being exactly what the spread is for this game.
And it hasn't moved, but I think this is worthy of a 1.5, if not more. It just makes so much sense. There is not a more logical trend than playing 100 plays. I mean, that's another way you could query it. But when you play an overtime game and you give up 31 points in the fourth quarter, that's a lot of action for each of those defensive players. Going 2 mile high, that's another element in the thin air. I know they go there every year, but still, it is different up there. This was going to be my survivor pick for week 10 anyway, but I might have to lay the points too and make it a real fun Thursday night.
Yeah, no, it is a great survivor play for week number 10. Elsewhere, the Broncos, speaking of that Denver Broncos team, they win against the Texans 18-15. More fourth quarter magic. They outscore the Texans 11-0 in the fourth quarter, as this was a trench report game, and it kind of played out that way because the Texans had absolutely no ground game here. Nick Chubb, 11 carries for 34 yards. Woody Marks, 10 carries for 27 yards. Like, the Broncos' defensive line had their way. Their offensive line protected Bo Nix. He only got sacked once, and it was, a classic Denver performance. They grind it out, and then they pull away in the fourth quarter.
They hit you in the head after the whistle, because everything you hear about Vance Joseph's defense, they came through.
And I know that C.J. Stroud got knocked out of this game. That was a clean hit, shoulder to chest, just unfortunate. Yeah.
I don't know why I saw that. Maybe it was the reaction of the Texans linemen.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's that Denver Broncos defense. I immediately took the Texans side, but you're saying it was clean?
It was shoulder to chest. For it. Shoulder to chest. It was just a big hit, and then Stroud's head hit the ground. Like, it sucks, but like, it was a clean hit. And I know people were like, Bounty Gate. Like, stop it. Like,
yeah. Russell Wilson's got a tweet about that.
Yeah, no,
Classless.
Not the case. Steelers beat the Colts 27-20. This was another play we were on.
You were on. This was a crossfire. Nice job on you.
It was a crossfire. I was on this. And I'm not saying that the Colts were fraudulent, and I don't think that. And I'm not trying to take away anything, but they hadn't played anybody.
They hadn't.
They played two teams. They beat two teams with a winning record. That's it. They've played now 4 teams with a winning record, and they are 2-2 in those games. And I could make the argument that they should be 1-3 in those games, because I brought up the Broncos thing many times with the extra attempt to kick a field goal, even after Bo Nix. If Bo Nix runs for a first down there, by the way, instead of throwing an interception, they kick a field goal and the Broncos go up by 2 possessions. Whatever. Let's just forget about that. The game's long over. Daniel Jones kind of looked like New York Giants Daniel Jones in that game. Now, he still threw for 342 yards, but the turnovers, Mackenzie, my goodness, 3 interceptions, a couple of fumbles. Like, this was an ugly Daniel Jones game here for the Indianapolis Colts.
The Steelers had gone 3 straight games without forcing a turnover. Before that, they were the number 1 turnover EPA team, and I think they made up for lost time with 6 turnovers, a record amount of points scored off of turnovers in the entire Tomlin era. And you could say, all right, if you had the Colts, which I did, you got unlucky. They had more first downs. They had more yards. I did not feel that way watching the game. In Three River Stadium, it felt like a very difficult environment for them to have the same kind of clean offense they're used to in the Dome. So this is kind of Tomlin ball. It's not pretty. It's not going to win you a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, in my opinion. But they beat the team with the best record in the league, and no one was shocked because this is what they do.
Yeah, and this was a great performance, I thought, defensively, clearly, by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you're sitting here and you're like, you look at the end box score results, but you're right. Like, watching that game, it didn't feel like the Colts were really in this. They did score late in the fourth quarter to make it, a doable game. But they were down. This was what, 27
at one
to
point?
7. Yeah, it was 27-10, and then they scored, in the fourth quarter. So, Steelers were never in jeopardy of losing this game. 49ers with a 34-24 win over the Giants. Christian McCaffrey, a dominating effort, 106 rushing yards, 67 receiving yards. Shout out Trench Report with the 49ers and with Christian McCaffrey. Mac Jones, another solid performance. And the 49ers, I mean, how many times are we going to talk about this team with all the injuries that they've dealt with everything that they've gone through? The one big factor that we have to really talk about and mention each and every week is that they are 6-3 now, and their starting quarterback has barely played this season. You could talk about Fred Warner. You could talk about Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, George Kittle. You could talk about all the other injuries. Their starting quarterback has not played.
Ask Cincinnati how that's going. Ask Baltimore how that generally went.
Exactly. And they're 6-3.
And they're going to make the playoffs. Honestly, if you told me you can make the playoffs or miss the playoffs or beat the Rams this Sunday, I might beat the Rams because I am disrespected by this line. We were 2.5, 3-point favorites at the Rams in week 5 prior to Purdy being out. And then we closed like 7.5-point favorites because Purdy was out, Warner was out, Bosa was out. Or I think Warner was still there. Now we are hosting the Rams, and we're 3-point dogs. I expect Purdy to be back. They said he was close versus the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
We did lose another defensive edge player in Mikael Williams, but I like the evolution of Salah's defense with these new guys, stringing it together with some duct tape. We're going to find a way to cover this game. I don't care if we lose the rest of the games of the season. Speaking as a 49ers fans, we're about to make a statement this Sunday.
I'm telling you, it really I think this is going to be – the 49ers are a playoff team. And I don't know how deep they'll go, Mackenzie, but it feels
well, they have enough – they'll make the playoffs but have to forfeit from just not having enough players to field the team.
And that's the thing. When we talk about Coach of the Year, right, Shane Steichen's the favorite up on FanDuel right now, plus 155. Mike Vrabel's the second favorite. Mike McDonald's at plus 900. How is Kyle frickin' Shanahan not the Coach of the Year, dealing with all of this adversity and then still being a playoff team at the end of the season?
I'm glad you said that because I was thinking about Coach of the Year today. I was thinking about the 2022 Coach of the Year when Brian Daboll took home that award, and second place, I think, by voting was Kyle Shanahan. Well, it's been a long time since then. Almost every player on the both rosters has been transferred over, and the Niners are way more injured than the Giants, and they're 6-3, and the Giants are 2-7 because one of them is actually the best coach in football, and the other one's Brian Daboll. That's my opinion.
Kyle Shanahan 10-1 to be the Coach of the Year. I would take a sprinkle. Mike Vrabel and the Patriots did get another win. They are now 7-2, but they didn't cover 24-23 over the Atlanta Falcons. Drake May, 19 of 29, 259 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is the second favorite now to win the MVP behind Josh Allen. So Drake May plus 400, second favorite to be the MVP.
Who has the 2 easiest schedules so far in the NFL?
The Bills
New
and the
England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills, followed by the Colts. So to be an MVP candidate, just don't play anybody, and you'll be fine.
But at 7-2 now, Mackenzie.
Yeah, no, they're serious. They're serious.
I mean, this is a team that is 2 wins away from cashing their win total of 8.5 going over. As somebody who in the offseason bet Patriots win total under 8.5, whatever, man. Whatever. Great.
That's life.
Great season. Exactly. That is not one that I'm going to have to drive across the border to Arizona and cash my bet there. So congratulations. You took my money. All right, let's talk about the Chargers getting a win. Not a cover, though, a 27-20 over the Titans in a game where they tried to give it away. Titans had a defensive touchdown. They had a special teams touchdown. And I guess you can say, at least they won. They got out of Dodge. They got out of Nashville with a victory.
It's tough to get a win in the NFL.
Yeah, I guess you're happy about that. But, Justin Herbert was your leading rusher. Kamani Vidal, 12 carries for 30 yards. That's pathetic. But Herbert, 19 of 29, 250, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Still, to me, it comes down to Cam Ward, 12 of 21, 145 yards He is not an NFL quarterback, just not now. I don't know if he'll ever be, and I'm not saying that he won't ever be. But right now he's not, and I get it. I get it's growing pains. You fired the coach. You're going through this whole transition process, but they're just not. They're not. I know. I understand it was close in this game because of the defense and special team scores, but that's the only. Their offense didn't score a freaking touchdown.
No.
So they're not competitive in these games.
They got it to the 1 to start the second half, but had no invention there. Cam Ward had one play where a receiver was coming back to him, and the shot was like a close-up of him winding up the throw like a pitcher. And he seemed to put all of his might in it, and you see this duck float out, like flipping like a Frisbee disc, wobbling, and falls like 8 yards in front of the receiver, who just watches it bounce in front of him. I'm sure that's not the kind of tape that he put on tape to get the number 1 selection overall. But I've seen a lot more of that Cam Ward than I've seen. I mean, he had a couple plays early in the season. I just don't see it. I just don't see how this guy got paid $50 million to be an NFL quarterback for the next 4 years.
I don't see it. I think there's Jameis Winston's buried on the Giants depth chart, and he is so much better.
Doesn't bounce at 10 yards in front of the receiver.
Like, he's so much better as an NFL quarterback than Cam Ward. And, like, that guy's, like, buried third string on the Giants depth chart and just, like, listed as the emergency quarterback every game. Like, there's so many other quarterbacks out there that can be playing and could win you football games. But, they don't care about winning football games. They're 1-8. That's it. They're going to have the number 1. They might have the number 1 overall pick again this next year, and we'll see what they decide to do with it.
Has there ever been a quarterback controversy or quarterback battle where it's just 2 number 1 picks were drafted draft after draft facing each other? We might see it. We might see it for the first time.
No, because the Cardinals immediately got rid of Josh Rosen.
Right, exactly.
Right?
That's what you do when you get the next guy in. Yep.
Right? Like, they were just like, yeah. So about that, we're gonna go ahead and
have you ever been to Miami?
Yeah. Like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we got this guy Kyler coming in, so see ya, buddy. I like that could happen, like, literally. So that could happen. And hey, who knows? Maybe Cam Ward is traded to Miami, and the Dolphins are going to be in the running for a quarterback.
Probably.
And that's where they love him. They love him there in Miami. So it's history repeating itself. Panthers, they upset the Packers 16-13. I mean, Carolina's 5-4 on the year, Mackenzie.
Yeah, 4 straight wins with Bryce Young as a starter.
They got to be the most confusing team in the NFL because they beat the Falcons 30-0. They beat the Cowboys in a back and forth high scoring affair. They beat the Packers in Lambeau. They get blown out 40-9 by the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
They get blown out by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, this is the most confusing team in the NFL. I don't know what to make of them.
Yeah, they lost at Arizona. Well, there's one – I remember doing the projected margins, which is looking at all the different analytics people that project who should have won by how much for the Patriots-Carolina game in Week 4. And it was all like Patriots by 3, Patriots by 4 – close game, like could have gone either way. And then like, what are you talking about? They won 42-13. Well, I think some of those numbers that didn't go their way, or some of those breaks that didn't go their way were still there in the numbers. They have a decent defense, which is hard to imagine because they had the worst defense like of all time last year. But on a per play basis, they've been, reasonable, top 10. So they're plus 300 to make the playoffs or thereabouts. They're right in there in their coach's second year.
Yeah, maybe not a pushover anymore in Carolina. For Green Bay, a very confusing result. I am sick and tired of watching this team play down to their competition.
It's every game. This is the Browns game all over again. It's every game.
Yep, and playing down. It's the only way I can describe it. It's just playing down to their competition. They play down to the Cardinals level. They play down to the Browns level. They play down here to the Panthers level. Yeah, they can get up for games. They can get up for that first game of the season against the Lions. They can get up against the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Pittsburgh. But this is just and you know what?
That's what makes the NFC fun. Nobody's good.
And you know something, Mackenzie? They'll get up for the game against the Eagles, the Monday night game against the Eagles. They'll probably win that game next week. So that's what's just so confusing about the Green Bay Packers. The Vikings beat the Lions 27-24. This was shocking to me. the Lions were in such a great spot coming off of their bye, but there is a trend here, Mackenzie, with home teams coming off of the bye. It's not as good as being on the road. Like a road favorite coming off the bye is not as great as being a home team coming off the bye. It's like, I don't know what it is, but the Lions, they weren't up. They weren't up for it here against the Vikings.
I have the business trip theory. And you know how the first few days at school coming back, whether high school or college, it just doesn't feel like you're in the groove, like you're getting your feet started. If you maybe had to take a plane trip to your first class, you would be a lot more ready for that Physics 101 when you got there. Road teams take a business trip. They're like, all right, we had our break, we had our vacation, and then we had our couple days goofing around, getting back to practice, and then we got on a plane with a mission. So I've said it for years, and it might sound like pseudoscience, but I think there is something to being on the road that just makes you a little bit more focused versus sleepwalking through the first half and being down after a bad pick by Jordan Love like the Packers did.
I just don't get it. I really don't get it. This seemed like a perfect spot for them to be in here coming off the bye, and not a great performance. However, a great prop cash for us on Jamison Williams going over his receiving yards. A Jamison Williams anytime touchdown at plus 200. Again, talked about this on the Fantasy Pod, talked about this all weekend. But when you have an offensive coordinator in Morton that comes out and talks about how we need to get J-Mo more involved in our offense, well, J-Mo was more involved in their offense. Yes, it took till the fourth quarter, but guess what? As long as it's within the full time of the game, it counts. So J-Mo goes over his receiving yards and scores a touchdown here in this one. And finally, let's talk about the most bizarre finish of the day, Mackenzie. The Bears, a 47-42 win over the Bengals. Trench report game for the Bears. Kyle Monangai, 176 rushing yards, starting in place of the injured DeAndre Swift. Shout out to Trench report. But man, it's I don't know what was worse. Was it the Bears defense allowing the Bengals to get back into this game, to score the touchdown in 4 plays, to then get the onside kick and score another touchdown in 6 plays? Or was it the Bengals defense for just allowing the Bears to score the touchdown immediately after?
I don't think the Bears defense is good, but this one to me is not close because you don't control the onside. That's just a random 1 in 11 flip of a 11-sided point. They gave up 2 touchdowns. They gave up 42 points. They had a bad performance. They're a bad unit. But the Bengals' defense is something historic, where the Bears get the ball back with 50 seconds down 1. I honestly thought, can they slow down a little bit, not kick the field goal too soon? You almost have to play that type of Madden, I'm just going to assume they score a touchdown the next possession with this defense. I mean, they were 50 yards back on that final defensive play. It was an easy pitch and catch to get in field goal range, and then you have to make up for that, so you try to hit stick him, and he walks into the end zone. They had 300 yards passing, and they had about 300 yards rushing. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
They have now scored 80 points in the last 2 games and have lost them both.
That's obviously a record. No one has ever done that. So is Zach Taylor era coming to an end? They got Pittsburgh next week.
Hold on, I'm actually going to look this up because this is I think this is fascinating.
Yeah, so points plus previous points is greater than 80.
Yeah, no, I just looked it up. No team has ever scored 80 points in 2 consecutive games and lost both of those games. That is unbelievable.
They are historically bad defensively.
Historic stuff here from the Cincinnati
It's got to be the most fun possible situation for Joe Flacco because there's no stakes and you're like on your retirement tour. You're just zipping it to the best receivers in football. And, hey, you're going to get the ball back very quick because they're going to run the other way and score a touchdown.
My goodness. All right, well, we have Monday Night Football tonight that will wrap up Week 9 in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Let's build us a same-game parlay. Taking a look at Monday Night Football tonight, the Dallas Cowboys up on the FanDuel Sportsbook, a 3-point favorite over the Arizona Cardinals in Dallas with a total of 53.5. Mackenzie Rivers, let's build us a same-game parlay here for this matchup here with the Cowboys hosting the Arizona Cardinals. And I guess it's in Arlington, but, give me a break here. Let's get into it. my first leg for this same game parlay, I know it's going to be chalk, 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 chalk. But how in the world does this game not go over 53.5? Like, the Dallas Cowboys score 40 points in every home game, and we know their defense is not great. Like, it's Jacoby
like the
Brissett
worst
in
in the
this
league.
game. Yeah, it's Jacoby Brissett in this game. It's not Kyler Murray. So I guess, like, Cowboys fans are very excited because Kyler Murray, I believe the record is he's undefeated
Yeah, he's torched him.
in AT&T Stadium. So if you go back to high school championship games, right, where he has won the state championship many times, he's a tremendous, one of the greatest Texas high school quarterbacks ever. And then you look at the Big 12 championship game with Oklahoma and the games in the NFL against the Cowboys, he is 9-0 in AT&T Stadium.
You think that's why he didn't come back? Just preserve that record. Just try to get to retirement, being 11-0 in Texas.
That's amazing. But
I
let's
kind
go.
of like your play though, because
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett has come in 2 times now
Mhm.
in the place of Kyler Murray, and they've scored 50 points, and
Yep.
both of those games have gone over, and he's
Mhm.
thrown for 600 yards. I think a couple things are happening. One is he's pretty good. He might be as good as Kyler Murray, which is not saying much, but it's saying he's an average quarterback. Number 2 is when you don't have that threat to run from the quarterback, your running backs have a lot harder time getting space. They're only running for 3.5 yards per carry without Kyler Murray. So what are they doing? They're throwing more. Again, Jacoby Brissett has thrown for 600 yards. So when you're throwing more, it might be successful, or you might get more picks, you might get more sacks, fumbles. Either way, I think it leads to a higher variance game with more points.
Okay. So we'll go over 53.5 as the first leg. How about the second leg? Jacoby Brissett over 245.5 passing yards.
Yeah, against the worst pass defense in the league. And I think they're going to be down. They are 3.5-point dogs, and they can't run the ball at all. So all of that leads to. Do you want to do passing yards or maybe pass attempts? I don't mind either.
Can't do pass attempts here on the same game parlay.
Okay, so we'll do yards.
Yep. Now here's the thing. These 2 legs are so correlated. It's only plus 169 with these 2 legs. So I feel like we're gonna have to jack this thing up by doing some negative correlations here. But what do you think? What else do you like here? What other props do you like here in this game?
I kind of like Dak to go over his passing yards too. I think it's kind of a shootout type situation, but that leads to the over too much as well.
Exactly. So 267.5 for Dak Prescott.
Is there any receiver that we don't like? Maybe George Pickens goes under because CeeDee Lamb's back now for a second week, and they can kind of work on that connection more.
So CD's at 82.5. George Pickens is at 63.5. Jake Ferguson's at 40.5. Marvin Harrison Jr. 59.5. Trey McBride 69.5 for the Arizona Cardinals.
Let's see how Marvin Harrison has done with Brissett in a couple of games. So he was 58.
Throwing the ball. Yeah, they're throwing the ball better with Brissett.
They are, but Harrison Jr. 58 yards versus the Packers, 32 versus the Colts. So that's the 2 Brissett starts. What would you say his number was? Tell me it's 59.5.
It is 59.5. Yep.
All right, so he's gone 2-0 to the under, despite the fact that they've thrown for 600 yards in 2 games. So for whatever reason, maybe that's just not the connection. That it seems risky because I expect it to be a 30-30 shootout but maybe we go Marvin Harrison Jr. under.
Yeah, well, I think he left one of those games with a concussion, right? When he hit the turf.
He can't even see straight. He's not going to have 60 yards.
What game? That was the Colts game. He left the game with the Colts game early. Okay. I like this, though, because it's negatively correlated with the Jacoby Brissett passing yards over. So if we add the Marvin Harrison Jr. under 59.5, this payout goes to plus 631.
Triples it. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think this is our base 3-leg, same game parlay. So, because I also think that Trey McBride has a monster game here, and I think he's going to wind up being the leading receiver for the Arizona Cardinals. So, 3-leg base same game parlay. Game to go over 53.5. Jacoby Brissett over 245.5 passing yards, and Marvin Harrison Jr. under 59.5 receiving yards, plus 631. Let's get us 1 leg in here.
Sounds
to
like
jack
you teased
this thing
it.
up.
How about Trey McBride over, or Trey McBride to score a touchdown to get real spicy?
You see, now we're having fun. Like that's just yeah. I mean, to score a touchdown, Trey McBride is plus 110. He's actually the favorite on the Arizona Cardinals. It makes it from plus 631. It goes to plus 1092.
10-1.
I'm gonna do you one better though.
Okay, lay it on me.
This is the ultimate anti-correlation dart throw of a same-game parlay. Our three legs right now are the game to go over 53.5.
Yep.
Jacoby Brissett to go over 245.5 passing yards, and Marvin Harrison Jr. to go under 59.5 receiving yards. Now we're going to add in Marvin Harrison to score a touchdown.
He's going to have one pass for 40 yards, touchdown.
No, he could have three catches for 50 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
We're at plus 2140.
That's fine.
That is a same game parlay. Again, it's a dart throw.
Yeah, no, I mean you're gonna be so happy with your base that you already have 6-1 coming in. You'll be like, I forgot I put $20 on that.
Exactly. I forgot I sprinkled on the Marvin Harrison touchdown to add into the mix there. So again, base parlay is plus 631 with the three legs. We throw in the Marvin Harrison touchdown. We're at plus 2140. Woo! That feels like a fun little dart throw here for Monday Night Football between the Dallas Cowboys and the Arizona Cardinals. All right, Mackenzie, let's talk some NBA, as yesterday was a great spot, and I'm not sure if you were like on this or not, but it was a great spot for the New York Knicks. We are the New York Knicks. We are the New York Knicks. Why?
Immediate revenge spot.
Immediate revenge spot. That's right. And if you looked up in the database the history of the immediate revenge spots, the sweet spot is actually where the Knicks were yesterday, which is being a favorite by 7 or more points. That is the sweet spot, because some of these other favorites don't exactly do so well, the home favorites. But if you're favored by 7 or more, you're over 60% ATS, and even stronger in the straight-up margin here for the immediate revenge. Knicks win 128-116 cover over the Chicago Bulls.
Makes a lot of sense. That if you can name your score, you do name your score, especially in a somewhat of a rivalry like they had versus Chicago. They shouldn't have lost to start their NBA Cup challenge to the Bulls. They had a score to settle. The Bulls aren't that good. Josh Giddey's been like 46% from three. He's their best player. He's better than I thought he was, but they have a lot of room to improve. The Knicks should be beating them by 12 points a game.
So the Bulls are no longer undefeated. They fall to 5-1.
Yeah, they came back to earth. That's another reason to have bet this game. Yeah, I had a good NBA day. Had a couple good days in a row. But yeah, you're right. I missed this one. This one was a layup.
Well, also falling back down to earth, the San Antonio Spurs are no longer undefeated as they get blown out by the Suns, 130-118, despite being 5.5-point road favorites. Suns handled their business. Victor Wembanyama, Mackenzie, only had 2 points in the first half. He finished the game with 9 points, but it was a bad first half for Wemby and just never got going in the second half.
The Suns made 21 or 12 of their first 23s. We're up 30 early, but that's kind of the thing. We've seen Victor Wembanyama have these incredible 35-10 games in the flow of a successful team. When you don't have a point guard, when you have essentially a rookie point guard in Stephen Castle and Dylan Harper, I want to say Dylan Harper, coming off the bench.
Who are the top 5 point guards? Dylan, and Dylan.
And then Ron Harper, because he spits hot fire. No, I hear you. But it's a bad day for my take that Victor Wembanyama has a chance to be the greatest of all time, because 4 for 14, 6 turnovers. Until you can just throw him the ball and say create something. That's a big gap between him and Shea and Jokic and a lot of these guys. He's been getting all of his stuff really impressive, like crazy 360 layups, but in the flow of a somewhat successful start to the season. Can he stop? Can he be a run stopper? Like nothing's going right. Give me the ball. That's the final piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Last night I also played oh boy, did I get burned. I played Austin Reeves under 24.5 points, Mackenzie. He had 23 points with 1:40 left in the game and nails a three-pointer and finishes he had 23 points. I had under 24.5. He hits a three-pointer with 1:40 left in the game. He scores 26 points. Lakers win 130-120 over the Miami Heat.
The Heat are going to keep clawing, probably against most teams if they're up as they were. Austin Reeves isn't playing, but with Spoelstra always scheming up, they kept him in the game just a minute too long for us.
Yeah. Earlier, the Thunder improved to 7-0 with a 137-106 win over the Pelicans. Let's take a look at the schedule for tonight here in the association. Mac, a couple of games that jump out to me immediately. Let's talk about any worry about the Knicks playing the second of a back-to-back here. They are heavy double-digit favorites against the Wizards.
My model takes into account the back-to-back, takes into account their recent performance. Best game of the day, it was Knicks at Wizards. They should win by 13. The line is only 11.5. It's early in the season. I don't think back-to-back is any reason to stay off a game. If your system or the way you're looking at it says, all right, it's a half point in the wrong direction, so I don't want to play it. But any more than that, I think you're making a mistake with these October, November back-to-backs.
Okay. A couple other games to bring up here. You got the, speaking of back-to-backs, this is like the Mackenzie Rivers special here. The Heat are playing the Clippers. This is the LA back-to-back. So you play the Lakers and you play the Clippers, or you play the Clippers and you play the Lakers. Not the same situation as they've usually been in because it is a different arena now.
Yeah.
But talk to me about the LA back-to-back.
Well, it's not the same stadium, so it may play out a little differently, but I think the effect is still there. And that's if you do the LA homestand or road stand, these games have tended to gone over. If you look at throughout the database, 57% overs in these particular situations. I think there's a couple of factors going on. One is you've probably been clubbing, you've probably been out, you probably saw some Kardashians. You're feeling life, you want the highlights, you want the Sports Center, you don't want to necessarily grind out defensively. And also, your shot is comfortable. Now this is different sight lines, so we'll see if it continues quite as excellently as it had been when you were playing in the same arena. But I still think these are looser, more entertaining games. I would look at the over.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Like, obviously, your shot is comfortable playing the second night in the same arena, but now you have to go up against the wall there at the Intuit Dome, home of the Clippers. All right, that'll wrap things up here for us on this edition of Better Day, presented by FanDuel. Want to talk to you guys about a couple of exciting things. We got some changes coming to BetterDay.com. You subscribers are doing, we love having you on board. Obviously, you get the newsletter emailed to you every day, the Trench Report, which, let me just update you on the Trench Report results real quick. 4-1 straight up on the top 5 mismatches, 3-2 against the spread. The only straight up loss was the Green Bay Packers, and the ATS losses were obviously the Green Bay Packers was an ATS loss because they were double-digit favorites, and they lost the game outright. And the other ATS loss was the Jaguars, who get the win, not the cover, against the Raiders. But for the second consecutive week, not second consecutive week, this is now 5 weeks we've been publishing the Trench Report. The rushing mismatches continue to dominate.
Yeah.
Last week it was 5-0. This week it was 4-1. James Cook, number 1 mismatch, goes over. Kyle Monangai, number 2 mismatch. And yes, in the Trench Report, we did say DeAndre Swift because when I published it on Wednesday, DeAndre Swift was still playing. So it was basically the Bears have the rushing mismatch, right? Keep in mind, the Trench Report does not factor the players that are playing the running back, quarterback, wide receiver. It only factors the offensive line and defensive line. So plug and play your player. Yeah. I just look at the RB1s that go over their props. So Kyle Monangai over, Kareem Hunt went over, Jonathan Taylor for the Colts did not, and Christian McCaffrey did go over. So Trench Report, top rushing mismatches, go 4-1 to the over on the RB1 props here in week number 9 after a 5-0 week in week number 8. I mean, it just continues to tear it up. So we will continue to do the Trench Report, of course, the fantasy football stuff, but we do have some more exciting stuff coming your way, including an all-new dynamic picks page up on BetterDay.com. Now, this is going to be a picks page where first off, let me just say this. When we launched Better Day, the whole premise was to give you guys, our audience, the insight into our network, to give you, the subscribers, access to people that you don't necessarily have access to. And so, coming soon, with the revamped picks page up on betterday.com, you will be able to see where the pick is coming from. Is this a Mackenzie Rivers NBA bet? Is this a Scott Seidenberg NHL bet? Is this a podcast bet where Mac and I kick around the same game parlay on a podcast? Is this a newsletter bet? It was a play that we gave out, a prop in the newsletter, maybe the fantasy football bet that we gave out in the fantasy football newsletter. Those sources will be identified for you, as well as special picks from respected pros and handicappers. I'm going to give you their picks. So, professional bettor, professional handicapper has a play for a game coming up here this week. I'm going to post that up on the picks page, and you're going to see the source of the pick, and you can track each individual source by their record to see who's hot and who's not, and then choose to tail accordingly. So I think it's going to help serve you guys as best as we can, and I wanted to do that because, again, the premise of this newsletter and this company and this podcast is to give you the access to the type of people, the type of network that you might not have access to. So we hope to continue to do that for you up on betterday.com, as well as more articles, more content for you guys on the website. Maybe it's a daily write-up about the NBA slate that night. Maybe it's a weekly write-up about the college basketball games that are coming up later on in that week, on Tuesdays and on Saturdays or whatever. Lots of great stuff coming for you as we continue to work to provide you the best content possible up on betterday.com. For Mackenzie Rivers, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here is hoping that you make today and every day a better day.